All right. Well, hello, everybody. Glad that you're here. Before we get into your great questions, which is why we're here, I just want to take a few minutes to set the table for what we're about to talk about. Many of your questions centered around AI, and I think that most of what you're hearing about AI right now is wrong, or let's just say not completely informed. I want to make sure that we're starting from the right baseline before I get to answering anything. So here's what I mean. You've seen the headlines, right? The mass layoffs, entire departments being eliminated. Stanford's computer science graduating class, the most prestigious CS program in the world, just posted a 5.8% job placement. 5.8. In 2019, that number was 94%. In 22, it was 78%. 24, 31%. Now 5.8. So the story everybody's telling is AI is eating the job market alive. And if you're being honest with yourself, part of you is sitting there wondering, well, how long before it reaches my business, my team, my role? And I get it. But here's what the headlines aren't telling you. The Federal Reserve just published a study last month that analyzed the data from more than a million firms, a million, and found zero evidence linking AI adoption to reduced job postings. Zero. And in their words, quote, precisely estimated null effects. So then, what's actually happening? Well, 59% of companies openly admit they emphasize AI's role in layoffs because, and this is a direct quote, it plays better with stakeholders than citing financial constraints. Jack Dorsey, as you know, laid off 4,000 workers at Block, roughly 40% of his workforce, and tied the cuts to AI-driven efficiency gains. Block stock jumped as much as 20% after the announcement, and it closed up 17% up that day. Now, I ask you, what do you think would have happened if Jack had more honestly said, I grossly mismanaged the company and overspent on hiring, and now to fix the mess that I made, we're laying off 4,000 workers at Block? How do you think the stock would have performed after that? And remember now, Jack Dorsey, this is the guy who founded and ran Twitter. When Elon Musk bought it, he gutted 80% of the staff from 8,000 to 1,500, and it thrives to this day. Well, the rest of the corporate market took notice of this quote unquote AI efficiency spin and cover story and followed suit. Mark Andreessen calls it the silver bullet excuse for layoffs driven by pandemic overhiring. Salesforce Mark Benioff said, blaming AI is the lazy way out for CEOs. And even Sam Altman, the guy who runs OpenAI, who has every incentive to overstate AI's power, calls it AI washing. So let me be clear about this, okay? AI is not what's killing the job market yet, at least. Companies that hired like crazy when interest rates were zero and money was basically free, those companies are now course correcting because interest rates went up and the go-go growth popping out of the pandemic has normalized. And they're using AI as the cover story because Wall Street rewards it. That's what's actually happening. Now, here's why I'm telling you this, okay? Because if you're making decisions about your business based on wrong diagnosis, you're gonna make the wrong moves. So here's what is real. 98.5% of mid-market CEOs believe AI will create value for their company, but only 7% have an actual coordinated strategy for it. More than half are stuck in what is called pilot purgatory. They're running little experiments, an AI chatbot here, an analytics tool there. Somebody on their team is playing with ChatGPT, but nothing is connected. Nothing scales. Nothing is producing real operational results. And globally, companies spent $300 billion last year building AI into their businesses, and 95% of it failed. $285 billion lost. Not because AI doesn't work, but because almost nobody knows how to make it work inside an actual business operation. The research says that 0.05% of the population can consistently build with AI and get real results. 0.05%. That's 1 out of every 2,000 people. So here's the real picture. AI is not the monster under your bed. The monster is the gap between knowing you need to do something with AI and actually knowing how to do it in a way that produces real outcomes for your business. And that gap has a name. I call it the operator's gap. And in that gap, closing that gap, is where fortunes are being made right now. Companies that figure this out are already pulling 2.5 times the profitability of those that haven't. 90% of fully integrated companies report significantly higher profitability than their competitors. So this is not future casting. This is happening now. And the gap is widening every month. So here is what I want to alert all of you to, okay? We are standing at the intersection point right now of a new K-shaped economy. The J curve is over. The rising tide will not lift all boats in this economy. You are either on the upward 10 to 20% side of the K or the downward 80 to 90%. There's no middle in the K. This is a straight division up or down. And here's the thing, and what I want all of you to hear, it doesn't matter how successful you have been or how successful you are right now. A 23-year-old with no network, no capital, no credentials can now produce work that rivals a $10 million company with a 30-person team. Not someday, right now, today. Meanwhile, a successful operator who's been in business for 20 years, running a $20 million business, who doesn't adapt fast enough, their team of 40 will get smoked in the competitive marketplace and be rendered obsolete by a competitor with a team of 6. Look, you have to see this for what it is. This is the first technological shift in history where the barrier to entry is practically zero, but the cost of ignoring it is total. The amount of noise and competition in the market will mushroom over the next few years, and it's going to be harder and harder to stand out. And past success is not momentum or a moat anymore. It is a sedative. It whispers, you're fine. You have time. You have too many other things to do right now. You'll figure it out eventually. And by the time that voice stops, the window has closed and the costs are enormous. The window is the gap between when the technology advantage is available and when it is universally adopted. Most people are still watching, still evaluating, still listening and reading about AI instead of actually using it, installing it, and building with it. And now, through all this, let me acknowledge something here, okay? I don't know about you, but when I hear about something new, some massive innovation, something else that I got to learn and figure out, I get a little bit mad. Mad because it's one more freaking thing that I've got to do. One more thing that I've got to learn. One more thing that I'm behind on. And mad because having to learn something new, especially technology, it can be daunting, overwhelming, difficult, uncomfortable. And it's not what I did up to this point to be successful. So it can even seem distracting. But then I realize, hey, what I did in the past has only gotten me to this point. And if I'm going to keep growing the business, providing for my team, making a valuable impact, I've got to do something different than what I've always done. And the same is true for you. But hey, I just want you to know, I do understand the feeling. We are going through it together. Here's what I want you to hear. This is not a technology transformation. It is a business transformation requiring a leadership transformation. And that's what to look for here today. The leadership transformation that you need to captain the business transformation, applying this technical transformation. That's what today's about. So let's get into it, okay? Y'all submitted some really good questions, questions that are directly relevant to navigating what I just talked about here. And along the way, as I take your pre-submitted questions, I'll open it up for live questions for those of you that are here periodically. If your questions suck, then I'll go back to my pre-prepared questions. But just raise your digital hand if you want to ask a live question, and Mariana will bring you on when we get there, okay? So let me tackle the first pre-submitted question, okay? I'm going to do a few of these. First off, while you think about the questions you want to ask, and raise your digital hand in the background, and Mariana will cue you up, okay? Question number 1 was this, and this one comes in from John Glutch, the Donut King, who in the last Q&A session, I made wait till the last to answer his question. So I figured out that I owed him the first spot. So here's what he wrote me, okay? He said, with the rise of agentic AI, Claude Code and Claude Co-work, He said, I'm finding that as a business owner, I can now build systems that replace or dramatically improve a lot of administrative work that used to require people. The challenge that I'm wrestling with, he said, is that I'm spending high value time designing and optimizing these systems, which can feel like I'm trading leadership and revenue generating activities for operational efficiency. How should I, as a business owner, think about where to draw that line? And what framework would you use to decide when to personally invest in time building systems versus delegating, hiring, or simply accepting inefficiency? Okay, so John, really good question, which is why I wanted to put it at the top here. Okay, and it's something that I struggle with every day myself. So first off is the good news for you, Johnny boy, and that is that you've discovered that you can build systems that replace administrative work. That's powerful. And it puts you in the top percentile of business leaders right now. But it also makes you vulnerable to the builder's trap, like I can be as well. It's the seduction of building something that feels like progress. You can see the output, you can measure the improvement, you get a dopamine hit of, I just saved 10 hours a week. But you're the CEO. Your 10 hours aren't worth the same as an internal operators 10 hours. If you spend a week building a system that saves your admin team 15 hours a month, you might have just traded 50,000 in revenue generating activity for $3,000 in efficiency gains. You see, that math doesn't work, but it feels like it does because the efficiency is visible, and more dangerous, the lost revenue is invisible. So the fixed framework that you asked for is simple. Number one, identify. Two, build. Three, hand off. Let me walk you through it. Number one is identify. Okay, there is a legitimate reason the business owner identifies where business velocity can speed up. You understand the business logic better than anybody. You know what good looks like. You can feel when a system is dragging and when one is solving the right problem or not. So yes, spend some time looking under the hood of your machine. Pick an afternoon to do so. Number two is build. Now, here is where you have optionality. A, if you know how to work with agentic AI, how to build agents, how to construct workflows, you can build it once the way you want it done so that you could feel confident that it's done right. Or, probably a better idea for most people, B, find the smartest person on your team and anoint them your AI integrator if you do not already have one. You usually do not need to hire outside consultants or quote unquote experts. It just takes somebody spending time watching all the free tutorials out there and playing with the systems to get up to speed. Here's what to know, okay? This should be comforting for everybody. Everyone is learning these tools in real time. And as soon as you think you've learned it, it changes. So everybody is continually going back to beginner mode, which means anybody can start to learn it at any time. That should be very comforting to everybody. And then the third part of the framework is hand it off. The moment it works, make sure what's built is documented, or better, have AI document it while it's being built. And then train the person who will direct, maintain, and serve as the DRI, the directly responsible individual for the outcome of that workflow. If you don't have that person, that's your real bottleneck, not the system. So here's the key line for you, John, and for every other founder, owner, leader that is here. Your job is to decide what gets built, not to build it, and definitely not to maintain it or use it or operate it. The reason this question resonates so deeply right now is AI has made building feel easy for the first time. Before, building systems required developers and months of lead time and six-figure budgets. Now, a mere mortal, even a CEO, can do it in an afternoon. And that accessibility is both the gift and the marvel and the trap. The gift is that you can prototype faster than ever. The trap is that you start thinking your job is to prototype. And trust me, I fall into this trap more often than I want to admit. And I unleashed my frustration about this on Kylie yesterday. Sorry, Kylie. Part of it is pushing my team, proving what can be done, and demonstrating how it's done to encourage them to go do it themselves. So that's useful, but only if you end up handing it off and getting back to your CEO level work as quickly as possible. Our job as CEO and chief rainmaker, that hasn't changed. Our job is decision making, it's judgment, it's vision, it's people, it's revenue. The tools have changed, yes, but the job hasn't. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful, Johnny. All right, before we get to question number 2, let me lube up. All right, Q2. If every company now has access to the same AI, what will actually make your company hard to beat? Okay. Yes, this is a big question now. So let me take a few minutes to help you through this, okay? Where are you going to get your grand advantage in the world of AI? And I'll start with something that might make everybody take a pause here, okay? A few weeks ago, a business owner told me, he said, Darren, I asked one of my younger team members to generate a marketing strategy using AI. 30 seconds later, it produced something almost identical to a plan a consulting firm built for us 2 years ago. And that consultant firm charged us $75,000. The AI did it for basically free before the kid was done with his oat milk latte. Now, while that might sound like a marvel, it's also terrifying for many of you. Here's what to also understand about this, okay? The consultant didn't charge 75,000 bucks for the plan. The plan was table stakes. It was the centerpiece of the conversation, the mere starting point, the place to begin. Here's what the oat milk latte sipping kid doesn't know to do. The $75,000 veteran consultant, what he charged for was for knowing which part of the plan to prioritize and which to minimize. Having the judgment to say, this part matters and this part is a distraction. And from knowing, here is where you're going to run into trouble in month 3. And here are the adjustments that I recommend that you make when you do. You see, the AI can't do that. It still can't. And I know that it sounds like something a guy who's been in business for 30 plus years wants to believe. So let me back it up here, okay? For 3 decades, advantage came from better information, better analytics, better research. Whoever had the best data won. That era is ending. Because when intelligence itself becomes abundant, when everyone can generate the same analysis in 30 seconds, advantage moves. It moves from information to judgment, knowing which answers matter, knowing which ones to ignore, and having the courage to act on the right one first. My mentor, Jim Rohn, used to say, success is not about knowing what to do. Everybody knows what to do. Success is about doing what you know. And that was true in 1990, and it is 10 times more true now. So if you're sitting there wondering what makes your company hard to beat, it's not your AI tools. It's not your tech stack. It's your judgment. It's your conviction, your ability to communicate your vision, and the speed at which you act on it. That's what can't be downloaded from an app. Put it this way, okay? If I give AI tools to somebody who's never written content or copy, they're going to produce average results. If I give the same AI tools to somebody who's been writing copy and content manually for a couple of years, they're going to get better results with the same tools. And if I give the same AI tool to somebody who is an expert at content and copywriting, who's been doing it professionally for 10 years at the highest levels, they're going to produce exceptionally better results with the same AI tools. Okay? So now, then I'm going to take one more pre-submitted question. So if you're ready to ask a live question, just raise your digital hand and we'll take a live one or two. And you can start queuing up in the line now. Okay, question 3 submitted was, which roles in particular inside a company are being exposed the most by AI? All right. Because I talk to business owners every single day, I can tell you firsthand what I'm hearing behind closed doors. And it is very different from what people are saying on stage or on podcasts or on LinkedIn or on X or on InstaScam. Here's what's actually happening. AI is not replacing jobs yet, as we've talked about. What it is doing is something far more surgical. It's replacing the middle of jobs. I call it the hollowing out of a role. The middle gets scooped out. And what's left is either judgment at the top or nothing at the bottom. You see, the drafting, the summarizing, the analysis, the reporting, the assembly, all that connective tissue that used to take 60% of somebody's work week is getting compressed down into minutes. And when the middle of a role disappears, you start seeing something very interesting. Some people rise, they suddenly become more valuable than ever. And some people become exposed. And I'm seeing that dynamic play out on my very own A team. I love seeing the ones who are embracing the innovations and rising, multiplying their contribution, multiplying their value. And you want to look for people who are looking for and finding new problems and opportunities and proactively creating solutions. Those taking on more responsibility without being asked, while producing more output without being asked. They are doing it because they can and that because they want to. The people who just continue to process work, move information from one place to another without adding insight, without adding suggestions, without adding proposals, without adding innovations or additional solutions, I'm telling you, the ground is shifting. Now, I want to be careful here, okay? This value gap identifying, it's not cruel, it's economics. And it's been the pattern with every major technology shift. 50 years ago, in the book, The Effective Executive by Peter Drucker, he wrote about the distinction between efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. Well, in today's world, you don't have to pick. You have the tools to do both. You need to be doing both. You need to be effective, which means having judgment to know what right things to do. And you need to be efficient by doing those things right at 3 to 10 times the speed and quality using the tools. So then you can be even more effective by doing more right things, thus becoming more valuable. So here's the question you should be asking yourself today, not next quarter, today. For every person on your team, are they doing the right things? Or are they only doing things right that a machine now does better? And are they using the tools available to do the right things right faster and at more volume? Because the quality can be assured. If not, they are vulnerable. And you should be showing them how to correct this and quickly. And we'll give you an exact framework for that conversation at this coming BMC, along with outlining the 7 levels of AI fluency. What exactly are the competencies involved at every level so that there's a track so that they can see how to graduate themselves up the ladder of AI fluency. And it's not just this idea of you need to use AI, try these tools. What exactly are the competency gates to pass in order to rise in your AI fluency? Okay. With that, let's pause on the pre-submitted questions just for a moment. I want to hear from some of you live. So Mariana, do we have anybody that's got a burning question?
We have Dan Tripp first.
Oh, look at you, Dan. I saw you. Dan was here in my neighborhood yesterday. We did a brilliant walk and talk around the neighborhood. So I answered your questions for an hour and a half for you yesterday. What else you got, Dan?
Well, I actually thought that one of the questions you asked yesterday would be helpful to other business owners. So I thought I'd ask and listen to you again on the answer. How do we as CEOs, operators position with our clients our use of AI and how it powers the products and services that we offer? What's the best way to position that? I flip-flop back and forth, and I think you got me straight on where I need to be, but I thought that would be a helpful answer for other people.
Yeah, so Dan runs a marketing consultancy firm that helps politicians run effective campaigns, right? So he's in the political advocacy marketing support business, if I explain that correctly, Dan. So he is using AI brilliantly to perform the effectiveness of what he does more efficiently, as we just discussed. And he's like, man, these power tools are allowing us to get a lot more done a lot faster and so forth. But I don't want my clients to know that I'm using AI. I'm like, why in the hell? I mean, that's your advantage. That you could basically, they're all out there going, how do I do this stuff? Well, you know, we need to get this AI advantage. And if you go, look, I've figured out over the last 100 years of political campaigns, the most successful, we've dissected it down, put it into a formula, and I could basically hand you Ronald Reagan's campaign strategy, you know, because he sides on the Republican side, and they're their nostalgic hero. Everybody's great in history. Because you figured out, it should be the thing that you lead with. It's like me, right? I'm using AI and getting really great at it. I'm not holding it back. I'm not being like, I don't want anybody to know that I'm using AI. I'm like, hey, you want to figure out AI? You want the leverage of AI? I'll make AI easy for you. I'll make you get the power tools so that you don't have to figure it out for yourself. So the opposite is what I suggested for Dan. And I also probably suggested for all the rest of you as well. Like, Everybody's out there trying to figure it out. Everybody wants the people that they are providing services for them to do it at the highest possible level. And these tools allow you to do so. And if somebody, I mean, look at Wall Street, look at Silicon Valley, look at Wall Street. You put AI on anything and all of a sudden it has more value. Well, in the
Mhm.
consumer marketplace too, it has more value if it's driving the machine under the human value that your business generates, right? You're not it's they're not going to, meaning your oversight as an experienced professional, but being able to do far higher quality, far faster, at far more volume with predictable success that has been dissected over proven patterns through your custodian and stewardship. That's a powerful story. So yeah, I say the opposite. I say use that as part of your unique selling proposition while you have this window of everybody trying to figure it out and wanting to get that same leverage they keep reading about, but haven't taken the time themselves to figure out how to apply it themselves. So I think in terms of the competitive options of people that they could hire to do what it is that you do, I'd run at that, screaming right now to collect as much of the market as possible before everybody else starts using the same leverage. Let's do another.
We have Zach Holmes.
Look at you, Zach Attack.
What's going on, Darren?
You, what's going on?
I suppose so. Hey, so I'm looking for some help on a decision-making framework on vetting out these new AI-based software. So we're trying to stay on the leading edge of this stuff. A lot of people are coming out with all these AI-based platforms that how that their thing is the best and whatever else. And when I start reviewing them, I'm going, well, shit, I feel like I could build this independently and for less than a quarter of the cost. How do you balance out somebody already has something built that's decent versus figuring out if you want to just build it independently?
I mean, this is the age-old problem of software in general. It's like, do you build it or buy it? Do you buy it off the shelf and configure it to work best for you, or do you start from ground zero and build it yourself? I'm never a build it from yourself kind of guy. I'm a buy it off the shelf and wire it to meet your needs, because you're not in that business. You're not in the software generation business. You're in the selling of stuff that you've got. And so if a tool can expedite that path for you, go buy it and configure it. Now, if you're just talking about AI tools in general, I thought that's where you were going until you got to the end. I will tell you that the adjustment that I've made is moving from Claude being my favorite so much so that I spend so much time with it that my wife is jealous. So because I call her Claudia, because we're just talking and doing stuff all day long. Claudia, Claudia, Claudia. This is what she says. But the Claude Co-work is just killer. Like, it's just a desktop version of it, but its efficiency and effectiveness, I don't have time to go into the reasons why, but it is wildly better. And then from that, you got Claude Code, but there's so many additional things that you can do using that platform with activating. You don't need to know AGI. You don't need to know how agents work and all the rest of that. It does it for you, and it's the same interface that you're using with Chat or Claude. But it's just far more powerful and effective. And at some point, we'll do a little meetup and do a little walkthrough of how to get it set up, because I avoided it for a while. It's like, shit, I got to learn the thing. This is working fine for me now. And I finally got Stuart to sit down and be like, just give me the 1, 2, 3. Just don't just 1, 2, 3. How do I get it started? And he gave me the 1, 2, 3, and I got started. I'm like, oh my God, where's this been all my life? And then it's just getting better and better and better. And Claude is eating the world right now. Like, they're on the forefront of what's happening amongst the major platform providers, in my opinion. Now, the horses are jockeying all the time. Everybody's got, is in a lead spot here or there along the way. This is quite the wild west of what's happening here in real time. But for what I use and what I've experienced, Claude is crushing on the back end. Claude Co-work in particular. Okay, and just if I can give you one piece of advice, just download it, just start playing with it, get it started, and that's all you have to do. Just break inertia. Just break inertia. And then at BMC, what we're doing is not only a major upgrade to the entire MVP portal with all our strategy formulas rewired with a lot of the new stuff that I'm bringing to that BMC, but we're also going to help you build skills with our proprietary strategy formulas. And I'm probably getting into the weeds too much here, but one of the powerful things about Claude Co-work is you kind of turn context files into skills, so that it learns and grows and improves over time, and you don't have to keep providing context. It ends up the agents end up accessing it as a skill rather than just a reference library. And so we will use our strategic formulas and bake those into your skills that you can just install in your Claude cowork and go ripping. Like you'll use the portal just to go grab what you need based on what you're trying to accomplish. If you're gonna need to do something different than you've done before, just go grab this pre-constructed skill, put that skill in your Claude cowork, and all of a sudden you got the best in the world expert at that skill doing your workflow, doing the part of that workflow for you with our juicy good stuff, not just the general shit on the internet. So yeah, that was a longer answer than your question probably begged for, but a lot of good stuff in there. Here's the thing. I just want you guys to know, I got you. We're doing this stuff in real time, and I'm trying to figure out how to make this fast, easy, and efficient for everybody. And so that's why we keep evolving this. I mean, our AI solutions for all of you have every BMC. It's been new and different and changed. Like we're changing the domain. The entire thing is rebuilt. And I just talked with Stuart. Was it shit yesterday, today? I don't remember. Who I said we really need to build all these into skills so that people can just put them into their Claude Code, Claude Cowork, or I think it works the same as some of the other platforms, so that it's always there and can work within an entire flow, so that you can build a full system stack of expertise. So you can see I'm pretty pumped about all that. Anyway, great question.
Appreciate that.
Stimulated a lot. I'm going to get back to some of the pre-submitted questions because I did promise these folks that I would get to these, and I think I only have 3 or 4 of those left. So where are we at? All right, good. We got time. All right. Here's the 4th question. Okay. Question was, what skills should leaders refuse to outsource to AI? Good question, right? The answer is easy. Everything that matters to being human. Okay? That's the short answer. But let me unpack it a bit for you here, okay? Because the application is very specific. There are 2 categories here. And if you get these 2 categories right, you'll use AI better than 99% of your competitors. Category number 1 is the high impact human moments. Where are those moments within your customer client journey that are high impact human touch point moments? And that's not only true for your customers and clients, it's true for your high impact touch points with your own team, your own vendors, the high impact human moments. You see, most businesses are trying to use AI right now to remove humans from the process, automate the email, automate the follow-up, automate the content, less human involvement, more efficiency. And for the low impact stuff, the processing stuff, the middle of roles that I talked to you about, yes, absolutely. The scheduling, the first drafts, the data pools, the reporting, automate all that. But here's the next level execution on this. You want to automate as many of the low impact tasks as possible for the singular objective of freeing up your miraculous humans so they can be redeployed to do more high impact work. What is the high impact work, you ask? Well, beyond thinking and innovating and creative problem solving, the high impact work is connecting with your VIP humans. Whether those humans are prospects or customers or team members or any other valuable stakeholders in your ecosystem. More high impact human to human moments. Those can be as simple as the handwritten note after the sale, the personal phone call when something goes wrong, the face-to-face meeting when a big client is on the fence, the one-on-one with your A player who's quietly wondering if they should stay, the vendor visit to ensure your supply chain also delivers excellence. Those are the moments you should refuse to outsource. AI is not there to eliminate people. Let me say that again. AI is not there to eliminate people. It's there to liberate your people, to do more high level, high impact, high value work that AI cannot do. Your goal is not to become less human as an organization, as an enterprise, as a brand. It is to become more human at the moments that count. Here's a great example. Okay, Mariana sent this to me a week or 2 ago. IKEA, they released an AI chatbot, and that chatbot was able to answer 47% of all their customer questions. So now they didn't need as many humans as they had before in that role. 8,500 customer support agents were no longer needed in customer support. But what they smartly identified was, holy shit, we have 8,500 miraculous, marvelous, beautiful, wonderful humans. who are already patriots of IKEA, who embody our core values, who have tons of customer interactions. They've heard tons of customer stories about items in the IKEA catalog. So, IKEA, they had always wanted to create an interior design business line. So they reskilled these customer support agents into virtual interior designers. And that was relatively easy to do. Why? Because the reps would be fully supported by AI. The AI would coach them all along the way through the process. And the AI would help them generate these new interior designs to deliver to their customers. But they are still acting as the human interface, which is essential to their human customers. Now get this. This new business line generated $1.4 billion in the first year for IKEA. Category number 2, the final output. This is the one most people are getting wrong right now. Hear me now. If it's going to be seen by your audience, read by a prospect, heard by a customer, felt by an employee, you do not let AI have the last word. I don't care how good the draft is. I don't care how smart it sounds, maybe even smarter than you could have said it yourself. But before anything goes out that is communicating to other humans, whether that is an ad, an FAQ, a memo, a blog post, a social media post, website copy, anything that is intended to communicate to another human, don't just take what you get from AI and publish it. You have to take it from the clutches of the AI and rehumanize it. You have to reinfuse your human heart and soul and personality. Let me explain, okay? Heart is relationship. Does this communicate that you are their trusted advisor? Does this communicate why you matter to them and how they matter to you? Does it communicate why your relationship with each other matters? The impact that you have on each other's lives in some meaningful or at least some useful way. Soul is empathy. Does this communicate that you actually care? That you understand their world, their problems, their frustrations, their desires? Not because you research them, AI can do that, but because you've lived their pain. You have felt them. You know them. And when they read, see, and hear this, will they feel understood? And then personality is you. Does this sound uniquely you? Is it expressing the various facets of your character diamond? Those things that make you as a brand, as a leader, as a business, unique, different, and special. Because AI can draft your email, but it cannot feel what your audience feels. It's not had your human experience. It cannot carry your conviction. It cannot express your quirkiness. Remember that last 30% that I talk about, right? 30, 40, 30? That last 30%, this is it. Use AI to get you the 70%, the assembly, the structure, the first pass. But that last 30%, that's the part that makes it yours. It makes it human. It makes it connect with other humans. Think of it like this, okay? If everybody in the world suddenly had access to the best kitchen equipment money could buy, every commercial oven, every knife, every ingredient, would that make a great chef less valuable? No. It would make the chef being great the only thing that matters. Because now the difference between a memorable meal and a forgettable one isn't the equipment. It's not even the recipe. It's the chef knowing how to shape, finish, and finalize it into something extraordinary. The same thing is happening right now in your business. So don't ask yourself what AI can do. Ask yourself what only you can do, and then double down there. Okay, let's go back to another live question. Since you guys have asked this great question. Who's got a question, Marianne? You can just pull somebody up.
Great.
All right. I got, you got sleeves. I appreciate you bringing sleeves.
Thank you. Appreciate everything you do for us, Darren, particularly with the AI. I just really grateful for what I've learned over the last couple of years. And I've been utilizing it, particularly over the last couple of weeks, because I've been impacted by 3 stories of people in their 30s and 40s dying from heart attacks. And my colleagues are not addressing, they're looking at cholesterol, LDL, and things, and we're doing a much more deeper dive. And my challenge is, how do we market what we do with AI, using AI, so that we can separate ourselves from our big conglomerates that are pushing traditional medicine.
Have you been to BMC, Jack?
Uh, about 6 times.
How do you ask me that question? I spent 2 days on this, man. I mean, yeah. 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 And there's 500 freaking strategies in the MVP AI portal. It's all in there, buddy. It's in there. It's in there. Go again. This time with that lens in mind, saying, how do I get the AI advantage that we're bringing to the marketplace positioned, packaged, and communicated? And how do I target the right best buyer? And how do I find when the best buyer is ready to, most ready to listen? And where else in the ecosystem can they be sussed out? All that, and to answer to your question, is in there. Full 2 days, which is a digest of 35 plus years. Yeah. And then I leave you with the formula, like, okay, here, just go do that. Execute. So you got it. Thanks for the setup, though. It felt like I got a commercial for BMC in there.
right,
if it doesn't
you
hit
ready?
you, if you didn't get the first 6 times, 7 is a lucky charm. All right, who's next?
Elsie is next.
Hi.
Hi, Elsie.
Hi. So I'm gonna go back to the beginning of your conversation that you were mentioning. Find somebody in your team that could build you these AI processes for your company. So coincidentally, I do have that. So my question to you is, how do you measure their output, put deadlines, since this is like really something new that you're creating and building? And then the other part of that, how do we implement it with our staff once something new like this is created? Because it's just so new. So how do you kind of manage it to be able to get it off the ground?
Yeah, so this is easy, and hopefully, Stuart, you're listening, because this is basically his job. So he could give you the answer basically by just reciting his job description and his day-to-day activities. But essentially, it is it takes somebody just paying attention and who has some sort of proclivity. It doesn't have an inhibition to technology, tinkering, playing, figuring out, failing, adjusting, is smart enough to, to evolve with it along the way. And by the way, for everybody else here, you happen to have somebody. If you don't have anybody, another conversation came up with Dan Tripp and I yesterday when we were talking. He's like, I need to hire a political director to, to take over some of these processes that I'm doing. And I said, well, explain the processes to me. And basically, they were all marketing and communication building functions using AI. And I said, there's nothing political in there at all. He's like, well, the political judgment, they have to. And I'm like, but that's your layer. That's the thing that you need to sign off on. That's your final check of what you're doing with everybody and everything all the time anyway. I said, you just need somebody that's proficient at AI that you can tutor to provide the executions that you are promising clients, right? And I said, any young person, it doesn't have to be young, but they just have to have, a digital native it just doesn't have the inhibitions. They don't have to have all the legacy thinking to get over themselves with, would jump at the chance to become a mentee, a protege, to learn the inner workings of how to build the communication campaigns, the staged rollout of mobilizing people in a political campaign. If they have any ambitions ever to be in the political arena, this is the greatest place that they could start. So you got all these poli-sci people, and people volunteer for being on political campaigns for free, right? Like, you can go pay them a little bit of money, give them your tutelage, show them how the machine works, have them focus on this, and you don't need anybody with any political or orientation or experience. You see somebody that just wants to go and learn. So same thing with anybody of out there. If you don't have anybody on your team that has that proclivity, like, go find somebody that just is eager to learn, and they want to learn while applying in your machine. Like, they can learn all these AI things. It's got nothing to do with it. They're not. Where do I apply this? Do what with it, right? You give them the what. You go, they could build something, apply it, and see the machine produce results. That's a glorious thing for somebody who wants to figure out how to exercise their muscles given these new tools. So just find somebody that's got a hunger for, like, all I got to do is I'm going to get paid to just learn AI and apply them to a successful business. Sign me up, right? You want to find that person. So you have somebody. Great. So they need to learn, and then the application is they just need to coach and mentor people on your team. They need to learn what their typical work process is, and that can basically be figured out as they screen share their processes. And with their knowledge, they'll know how to apply AI in which to automate all those processes and workflows. And so they tutor it, and they might even go and build the workflow, hand it over, because not everybody's going to take the time, have the energy to go and learn it all on their own. They just need to be handed the tool. Okay, instead of doing these 14 steps you used to do before, just push this button and then make sure what comes out on the other end works for you. And if you don't, go back to step 5 and do these 4 things to check it out. Bam, over, done. So the one thing, the mistake a lot of companies are making is expecting everybody to learn AI. And everybody just does not have the proclivity for it. They don't have the time, energy, space, capacity, the interest, So that's why you have to anoint somebody. They figure it out. They sit down with that person. They analyze their situation and they provide them the tool. Use this instead of that. Now they're off to the races. As simple as that. And you measure it by the number of integrations that they perform throughout the team. And then you can measure the output volume of that person. If this person was able to do X before and now they're able to do Z, that's a win for the integrator. Humans the same. Tool provided the efficiency. One warning is don't just make everything more efficient. Part of the analysis is there's a lot of dumb shit that companies are doing and a lot of workflows and a lot of things that people are doing that shouldn't be done at all. The first thing you want to do is go through and radically evaluate what exactly is happening inside an organization, because 80% of it probably shouldn't be done at all, or it shouldn't be done to that extent, and it could be minimized. So prune the hell out of the system before automating and optimizing a bunch of inefficient workflows. That's a little side tip. Great question. You want to do one more? Oh shit, we're getting close. So, who said an hour, right? We could do 90. You guys hang on as long as you want. It's up to you. I'm going to go to pre-submitted, Marilyn, just to make sure we get to the end of it. And at the end, if we have other time and questions, we'll do it. All right. Here's the 5th submitted question. How do you prevent AI from weakening your team's thinking? Yes, this is a good question because it easily can. And I have seen it do just that in many cases. I'm not saying intimately, but in many cases. So I'm going to give you a simple rule, okay? Because I think this one gets overcomplicated. Here's what it is. Think first, AI second, then think again. That's the whole framework. Think first. Don't make AI think first. You think first. You're the domain expert. You're the person hired for that role. It's your freaking job. You're there for a reason. Your qualifications is the way you got that job and role. So bring your thinking first, then go to AI second, and then after it produces, think again. Okay? Here's the principle underneath it. Before someone on your team opens the AI tool, they should already know 3 things. What problem are you solving? What do they believe the answer might be? And what decision are you actually trying to make? And if they can't answer those 3 questions before they go to the machine, you're not using AI as a tool, they're using it as a crutch. And there is a huge difference. You see, a tool amplifies your thinking. A crutch replaces it. And I've already seen smart people abdicate their brain to AI. Not good. Here's what I started doing myself, okay? Before I use Claude or any AI tool for something, I first write down what I think the answer is, or at least my thinking around the question. Then I ask the AI the question. Often I like what the AI's answer is in totality better, but because I didn't abdicate my thinking, I see my nuanced and unique perspective on that answer in what I originally wrote down. So now I can have a dialogue with my AI about my thoughts on it, challenging it further, and then asking it to reproduce the answer with my unique input in mind. This is what keeps me from getting general AI slop when working with AI, and keeps my unique thinking and my unique perspective and my unique personality engaged in the process. Otherwise, you will have a tendency to just default to whatever the AI gives you, thinking that it's good when you never even brought your brain into the equation at all. And that is a huge mistake. So think first, AI second, then think again. It drives me knuckin' futz when my team gives me something that I can see was just copied and pasted out of AI. There are obvious telltale signs. You don't think I know? I explain. As EQ as possible. I need your human judgment on what AI produced. Otherwise, I don't need you. I can just use AI, right? So use your brain first, then ask AI, and then after, you still will have to use your brain to humanize it, as we've discussed. Reinfuse your human heart, soul, and personality into the deliverable. Okay. I'm going to get right to the last two pre-submitted questions for those that I worry are on a time crunch, and I want to make sure that I've hit these, okay? What happens to the next generation of leaders if AI replaces the work that they used to learn on? Okay, so this one concerns me, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I think about this like the compound effect of interest, which of course you'd expect from the guy who wrote the compound effect. Here's the parallel. Young professionals used to learn the craft through the grunt work, through the research and the drafting and the analysis and building the deck at midnight and rewriting the proposal 4 times. It was tedious. Nobody loved it, but it was building something underneath the surface. It was providing context. It was building judgment. It was growing expertise, knowledge, and insight based on a depth of experience, slowly and visibly over years. And like compound interest, it was building in the background. You don't see the growth until the day you realize you can think in ways that your peers can't. Let me give you a real example. Okay, years ago, early in my career, I had a mentor who had me sit in a room and hand type sales letters, not write them on a computer, hand type them, hundreds of them. Gary Halbert's letters, Dave Ogilvy's letters, Eugene Schwartz letters. And I thought that he was insane. I thought it was just busy work. I thought I could just read these. But something happened. By the 50th letter, my brain started seeing patterns I couldn't have explained. By the 100th, I could feel when a sentence was working and when it wasn't. Not because somebody taught me a rule, because the repetition built instinct underneath conscious thought. That is how judgment forms, not from studying, from doing. And if somebody had handed me an AI that could generate those letters in 30 seconds, I would have used it. Of course I would have. And I would have skipped the exact process that built the instinct that I use every single day. Now, AI does much of the grunt work. The research takes 30 seconds. The draft writes itself. The analysis is generated before lunch. And that sounds like progress, right? And it is. But here's what worries me. If a young professional never does the hard version of the work, they skip the compound period. They never grow their judgment. They never gain context. They never develop actual domain expertise. They get the output, but they never build the muscle. So leaders have to rethink how people learn. You can't let the machine do the learning for them. Maybe the grunt work changes, maybe it looks different, but the principle stays the same. You have to struggle with something to understand it deeply. Otherwise, we create a generation that knows how to operate tools, but never learned how the business actually works. That's not a technology challenge. That's a leadership challenge. And it's on your plate right now. And then the last submitted question. What does leadership look like when intelligence itself becomes abundant? Okay, so 3 things, okay? First is judgment. And as we have discussed, judgment doesn't come from a prompt. It comes from experience, from expertise, from years of getting it wrong and learning what feels right. That's not going away. If anything, it is worth more now than ever. Second, and this is the one that people overlook, humans still require humans to lead them. We are a social, tribal species. We are primates, animals. We look to, need, and follow the alpha of the tribes that we associate with. We've done this for hundreds of thousands of years. It's wired into our survival mechanism. As long as there are humans in the workforce, humans will require human leadership. To lead humans, you don't just need IQ, you need EQ. Your emotional intelligence as a leader is more critical than ever. The ability to read a room, to sense when somebody's struggling before they say a word, to inspire when the data says there's no reason to be inspired. No model does that. No algorithm does that. That is stubbornly, irreplaceably human. And then third is decision making. AI compresses time. Information moves faster. Markets move faster. Competitors move faster. Everything is accelerating, which means the next decade will not reward the most informed leaders. We've already established that. Everyone will have the same information, the same intelligence. It will reward the most decisive ones. And I want to be specific about what I mean by decisive, because people confuse decisiveness with recklessness. Decisive means you can see clearly through the noise. You can decide quickly with incomplete information, and you can move your entire organization in that direction and do it with courage and conviction. All three, not one, all three. Seeing clearly without acting is analysis paralysis. Acting quickly without seeing clearly is recklessness. Moving along without bringing your team is being a dictator. You need all three: clarity, speed, alignment. So that's what leadership looks like when intelligence becomes abundant. It's human IQ, judgment. It's human EQ, emotional intelligence. And with both of those, it's human decision-making done smartly. When everybody has access to genius level analysis, execution then becomes everything. Not strategy, not planning, not another offsite with sticky notes on the wall, execution. The leader who can see it, decide on it, and move on it before the competition finishes the third committee meeting, that's the leader who's going to win. And that starts with a decision that you make about yourself, not your tools, not your tech, you. Understand this. Organizations are never limited by their opportunities. They're limited by their leader. That reality, if you're willing to face it, that you're the problem, that you're the constraint, that you're the rate limiting factor, that's when you'll finally discover you're also the solution. So you have to decide, what kind of leader are you going to be in this next chapter? That's the question worth sitting with. And as you probably already figured out, you never arrive in business. You must continually refine in the mastering of key skills. As soon as you stop growing, you rot and wither away. So let me say something that might land a little hard. If you're being honest with yourself, some of what I described has already been happening in your business. You've probably already hired somebody whose AI polished resume looked better than their actual capability. You've probably already lost a decision or delayed one because you had too much information and not enough conviction. You probably already watched somebody on your team outsource their thinking to a tool and produce something that looked good on the surface but had no depth underneath. And you might not have even recognized that it was happening at the time. Okay, that's not failure. That's the operator's gap. The gap between where you are and where you could be operating if you had the updated playbook for this brave new world. And that gap has been compounding silently since the day that you last left BMC. Every month without the updated systems is a month the compound effect starts working against you. So now let me wrap this up by connecting some dots for you, okay? For the last hour or so, you have been hearing the same truth from a dozen different angles. AI makes information free. It makes analysis free. It makes content free. And when all of that becomes free, the only things that still carry a premium are judgment, speed, and the ability to actually lead people through change. So here's what's changed since you were last with us. Day 3 of BMC has been rebuilt from the ground up, not tweaked, rebuilt. The labor market intelligence is new. We've mapped 3 structural shifts that define who you can hire, who you can keep, and what your competitors are doing about it. The recruiting frameworks have been recalibrated for a world where AI contaminates every hiring signal that you used to trust. We built something called the Team Recalibration Engine. You run your people through it, and it shows you exactly where your hidden capacity lives inside your current team. Where one repositioning move could multiply somebody's output 3 times, 10 times. We've rebuilt, as I told you, the MVP AI portal, over 500 execution-ready strategy formulas encoded with my 35 years of expertise drawn from the best in the world, not generic AI, strategic systems and AI executions, from strategy to execution in minutes. And that's one day. Days 1 and 2 have been equally upgraded. Now, I'm not telling you this because I need to fill seats. I'm telling you this because you're my alumni. You have already built the foundation, which means you'll get more out of this than anybody walking in cold. You'll see connections that new attendees can't see. You'll implement faster because you already know the BMC language. And you'll leave with systems calibrated for this world, not the one that you graduated into the last time you attended. So this is not a repeat of BMC, this is a recalibration for today's new opportunities. May 4th through the 6th, the gap between leaders who recalibrate now and the operators who wait widens every single month. You've already seen the compound effect work in your business. You understand it better than anybody. Now, I wouldn't be doing my job as your trusted advisor if I didn't passionately and strongly say, get your ass to BMC in May. Don't wait till October. Don't put it off. Don't procrastinate. Get your ass there. I've said it. I'm doing my job as your trusted advisor. If I feel strongly about something that's going to help you, benefit you, and all the other buts, I'm just telling you what to do. You decide whether you do it or not. You take the advice or not, that's up to you. I'm just telling you with conviction, get yourself there. Now, I'll close out by saying something probably nobody else is going to say to you, only because they just don't know. They don't understand what it's like. But leading right now in this world, and well, really, it's always been the case for a leader, but right now in particular, man, it is freaking lonely. It is lonely in a way that it hasn't been ever. It's lonely in a way that's different than when you last sat in that BMC room. And it's not the kind of loneliness that you can talk about. I mean, how can you, right? And whom are you going to talk with about it? It's just the kind of lonely that you have to carry alone, on your own, silently, so that you don't freak anybody else out around you. Because you have to be the one holding the vision when the team is uncertain. You have to be the one projecting confidence when the path forward is unclear. And you have to be the one staying ahead of all these shifts that are moving faster than any one person should have to track alone. And most of the people in your life, they just don't fully understand what that weight feels like. Your friends don't get it. You've tried to explain it. Your family tries. They can't. Your team can't even know what it's like to carry the full weight of the enterprise's burden on your shoulders. So what do? You carry it quietly, and you just keep moving. You already know what the room at BMC feels like. You've been in it. You know what it's like to look around and see others at your level, peers, excited, focused on growth, focused on big goals, thinking as audaciously as you are, and having to think about how to navigate this same terrain. Nobody posturing, nobody pretending, just real leaders doing the hard things and loving it. That room, once before, changed something for you. You felt it. You know what it means to be in a room of real peers of like mind and like ambition leaders, unique people who are serious about building something great. This isn't another event to add to your calendar. This isn't more information to process. It's the one place where you don't feel alone. The one place that you can get replenished and revitalized. Talking with people who speak your language and fighting the same fight. And right now, that's not a small thing. In this moment, that might be the most valuable thing that this next BMC gives you, above and beyond any new idea or strategy, above and beyond the AI tools that we equip you with. Think about it. Do it or don't, all right? The choice is yours. Either way, you are an alumnus for life with us, and we love you either way. And I do hope that I do see you in May.
Life for me was with less purpose, with less focus. Attending Business Masterclass has sort of transformed me more so than my business. It has brought me a sense of value and confidence. Structure my day more. Think differently about relationships and people and processes and narrow the focus. I'm motivated to get what I want versus just sit in the corner and kind of take what I get.
My life was in complete chaos. I had recently just came back from fighting a war in Iraq, and I just didn't know how to succeed. BMC has been a huge impact on my life, my business. We were able to use it to filter bad employees. We were able to use it to get my first $1 million sale I've never in my life ever imagined. having somebody buy something for me for over $1 million. Those goals were only accomplished through learning and listening to everything the man had to say. Today, I don't even have to question anything I want to eat, drink, where I want to sleep, or how I want to do things. We now franchise. I'm a co-owner in other businesses. I've learned to invest my money in different ways. I've essentially went from the guy that was selling knockoff Gucci bags and radios from Canal Street to a guy that drives around and plays firefighter because him and his kids bought a fire truck and set their own fires on their property to play firefighter.
Because of Business Masterclass, I actually started a marketing company, and it's added over $100,000 to my income last year alone. I've been able to bring on some really great people onto my team, which has allowed me to delegate at a level that I couldn't delegate before because I didn't have the right people in place. So I have time to spend with my family and not feeling guilty all the time about being at work when I should be at the cheer competition or something to that effect. So it's been phenomenal. Being around a lot of like-minded entrepreneurs that are doing huge businesses, way more than my mind would ever comprehend, has helped me really think on a much higher level and go out there and do things I may not have normally done before. It's absolutely worth the investment. Just the community alone and the collaboration that Darren creates for you in the platform through Business Masterclass and the Hardy Club. You can't put a price tag on that. You'll get your money back tenfold.
We were going broke. I came in, I was a single mom of a child with special needs. I had to figure out who was out there that could help me, and Darren is who helped me. The implementation of those strategies absolutely transformed our business. Within the first year, we went from literally almost closing the doors to $3 million in sales. Eventually, we ended up where we were doing close to $12 million. While I was building this company, I also built a nonprofit from scratch, which is the largest growing nonprofit in the state of Oklahoma. And in the last 10 years, we're internationally recognized, and we went from serving 5 families with equine therapy to over 200 in newspapers, articles, and all of this stuff. I did that in my freaking spare time, raising a special needs child and now running 2 businesses. This is the power in Business Masterclass.
My CFO at the time had passed, so I was at quite a loss as to how I was going to proceed with the business. I can certainly say that it has saved us from making mistakes that would have been extremely costly. I'm actually enjoying what I do more than I've ever enjoyed it previously. I'm getting more done with less effort, which translates into more quality time with family, friends, and associations. That's what I actually want for all my business partners as well.
This is life-changing, life-changing. When I'm 80, reflecting on my life, I'll think about what he did and how it impacted my life.
I am just looking for what adventure is next because I do not have a worry in the world with the skills that I learned from Darren Hardy.
If you're really looking for an opportunity to improve your leadership skills, lift your business to another level, or get into business, I couldn't recommend anything more so than a Business Masterclass and Darren Hardy.